Hello everybody and welcome to another Transformers third party review. In today's video we're taking a look at the first offering from Cang Toys. This is FEROCIOUS. Their interpretation of a masterpiece kind of scale, slightly stylized Rampage the Predacon. Very much looking forward to seeing what their Predacon looks like combined. I've already had this guy out of the box, played around with him. Build quality is really good. I don't think anybody's going to have any problems with the overall build and feel. Very high quality. If you've owned any of those kind of KO versions of the Gundams, the metal builds, feels very much like that. Very much up the top there with the likes of Fans Toys, etc. for build quality. Really, genuinely very impressed. Box is really nice. Very much like what we got with that Transmetal to Beast Wars Megs. Again, got that kind of like 3D look to it with that shine. Really bold, and there he is in his Saber-Tooth tiger sort of form. CT-01. Of course, this was originally meant to be a Toy World product, but I don't think they wanted to go ahead with it, so the designer either took it somewhere else maybe, or they sold the design on, but I'm glad it's finally been made, because we need an MP scaled Predacon. And here we have him out of his foam prison now. Yes, they've taken some creative liberties with Rampage, but I still think he looks sensational. There's lots of different various options you can do. Like, I've got his tail kind of tucked in at the moment at the back, and I've got his back panel dropped down. That's not necessarily what you have to do with him. You can have the back up behind the neck, or you can have the tail hanging down. You can have the arms kind of stumpier, you can have the legs tucked in, you can have the hind sections all kind of curled up, but I've kind of got him which allows for the most kind of dynamic of poses, and he is a very posable character. The aesthetic itself does remind me very much of something that the likes of Unique Toys or TFC would do with their combiners. It's not exactly G1, but the size and heft of this guy does definitely put him up there with other masterpiece figures. Taking a closer look, well, there's light piping throughout all of that head socket. Really beefy chap. This is what has brought a lot of negative kind of criticism into the figures. The fact that we've got these kind of ratcheted joints visible on the outside of the plastic as opposed to being mounted on the inside. Personally, I don't think it's as bad having it in hand as it looks in some of the pictures. It does cover up really nicely when you start moving the arms around, and I mean, there is a lot of range in those arms as well. I love this blade that he comes with, a very kind of prehistoric, very beast like weapon, and he also comes with a pretty heavy duty gun as well. Again, a lot of kind of bulk and size to these guns. They peg in much like you would expect with the Masterpiece systems. There's a groove cut into the weapons, and then a peg on the inside of the hand which slides in to the groove. As standard, the neck joint would come up. It's raised up like so in the pack, and then this is tabbed in at this point here. Personally, I like to have that dropped down, and I even have the tail kind of come up like so, and I see that as kind of more of a mechanical spine coming up along his back. Again, it's each to their own, not everybody's cup of tea, but personally I really do like the build quality. It's by far the best structurally sound version of the character that I've had to date. I've had the MMC, I've had the Jimbao, I've had Unique Toys at one point, I've had the TFC, and this is leaps and bounds sturdier and better built than any of those. Taking a look at the claw, really big, chunky monkey of a claw. Really looking forward to seeing how this guy looks when he's fully combined up, and there is the option to join this with a secondary one and form a crab bot as well. Of course, this is the only limb that we have at this present time, so I can't be doing that, but spiky goodness, let's just hope that they kind of keep this aesthetic. I'm really hoping that we're going to get kind of a Studio Ox inspired Predacon at the end of this, and kind of giving us a call of the primitives, because that, in my opinion, is a definitive Predacon. For those amongst you curious about size, here he is along with Sovereign and Breakdown, and of course the T-01 Optimus Prime at the back there as well. So he is a big chunky bot. And for those curious, he weighs in at 564 grams. That's 19.89 ounces. Right, now let's take a look at Rampage's articulation. The head can look up that much and look down that much, which is handy because then he can look down at all the other combiners. I mean, I think we've got a pivot in his neck, so we can kind of bring it down at that angle. Do we think that looks better? And we do lose a bit of the range in that neck joint there, but I think having it down there does look a lot more natural in my opinion. But like I said, it's on a rocker, so you can rock that all the way up to that joint to get full range and motion. We've got some nice head tilt on there as well. We've got this gorgeous ratchet on these arms, albeit unsightly to some. So many clicks on that. Oh, really squeaky joint coming out to the side. Again, that's all on a really tight hinge, so maybe I could oil that up a little bit, but it's a very secure hinge. I mean, it's not going anywhere, but oh, very unpleasing to the ears. We've got rotation on the bicep. We've got not one really nice cut elbow joint there, but we actually have a secondary joint there as well, so we can come all the way up. Really nice, tight and clean. Just untabbed the forearm panel. And we can bring that back down as well to kind of tidy that up. We have rotation on the wrist. There's a pivot on the wrist, a must for anybody who wields a sword in my opinion. And we have fully articulated fingers and a thumb. The waist rotates. We do have hinges on the hip skirts, so they can drop down, so we can get a full, move the tail downwards like so, so we've got a full range all the way around on that waist. We have an abdominal crunch going backwards, nice lean there, but no real forwards motion on that joint. I mean, it's good if you want him having kind of running forward in kind of a dynamic pose, but a majority of that joint in there is for when we have him in combined mode, but it's fluid going left and right nonetheless. Let's just tab that panel piece in. The hip skirts do come up. As previously mentioned, they are already raised. The hind section, unfortunately, is all on a single hip skirt. I would have liked that to have been on separates like the front panels here. We can move the legs forwards again on really nice ratchet joints out to the side. Again on very nice ratchets, albeit slightly squeaky. Upper thigh rotation there. We've got a bend on the knee. Again though, it's a really deep bend with a really nice cut in that calf to give us a really nice angle there. Then we have ankle pivot as well as some up and down, and then we get that additional motion on the toe and on that heel. All the joints are extremely stiff and they're all going to stay exactly where you leave them, but what do you think? I mean, that's not a perfect pose, but there's enough range in those joints to get some really kind of striking attack poses. Now, as much as I love how he looks in bot mode, and I really do love how he looks in bot mode, he's very fluid. I'm going to get him transformed up. We'll go to Saber-Tooth Tiger mode next, and then finally onto arm mode. Would just like to thank Heat Toy for this figure, second purchase I've got from those guys in as many days, and pretty much over the moon. Include a link in the description below. First port of action, you want to move squeaky joint out as far as it will go, And we've got these tabs on the forearms. You know the drill by now with these combiner style figures. Make sure that the thumbs and fingers are down. They can press inside the arm. These then come back off, and this, it's on like the world's biggest ball joint, and we can move that around, and that's going to come forwards to the front. So again, with this side, making sure that the hand is compressed. Flip open the forearms at 90 degrees and flip the thumbs around and in, closing that off. Untab these from the back of the arms, rock the ball joint down, rotate it around and bring that around to the front, lifting the squeaky arms out to the side. Hip skirts come up apparently 70 degrees. This piece here is going to untab from this socket here, like so. This is going to come up again. This is on a double hinge, so it's going to rock and come up high enough so we've got access to those legs. And speaking of legs, we're going to come down to the shin area, and these panels are going to open like so, and open like so, and rotate outwards, and then rotate around. And we've got these panels here as well. They come out and they come out. Right, now let's take a look at this leg here. We've got separate hinges all on here. This is all kind of hinged at different places. This is going to come out, and again this here comes out. It's all on this one big hinge and then splits into 3 sections. So bring this piece out like so, and around like so. This thing comes up, this is going to drop down, and this is going to come all the way back up to the top of this hinge. So it's basically flipping around to the other side. Like so, with this brought up and out of the way. There's now enough room to move this panel all the way up, and then as we pull that through, make sure all of these hip skirts are up, and this is going to slide all the way down inside that hinge. This is then going to fold down into this void, and there's a tab just there. That's going to just push and lock into position, come around to the tail, and there is a tab where this can come down, and this is going to come around, and there should be a small notch between those legs for the tail to come down and to secure into position. There we go. And then these are going to pinch together and just push and secure like so. So that's nice and tight. And then coming down to the legs, we want to just pull out this shin tab, and these are going to extend. There's these flaps on both sides. Bring that out and bring it out on the other side. Those are going to come down. We can just bring this like this, bring this in, tab that in. The heel spur section can come up, and then this piece can rock all the way back like this. Bring this beast head up and out like so. Bring this forward. These panels are going to come out to the side. The head can then rock backwards in to the void, and then bring that back, and then looking at the neck, this is going to tilt, and you can see those should line up either side. like that, holding that into position. This tab comes away from the torso and just rocks out just enough for us to bring this panel out and this panel out like this, and then these slide all the way down. Now, I'm not sure if it's something I'm doing incorrectly, but I found that you have to have the torso extended slightly to make sure that these drop down enough to then be able to tuck in, otherwise there's no space for this section to go in here. It kind of clashes against this waist piece unless we have it down at that angle. We can then come around to this piece, and this is going to rotate with this hinged backwards, so these are flat. This is going to rock down, it's going to slide under, these will push and tab in together, and then this can come down and form the back section, and then the head can come up like this. Bring the arms around, collapse that hinge off, and just rotate the forearms, and we're going to rotate those feet around so they're more at the front there. The legs can then come down. These are just going to come in, and these are going to push, lock and secure into those legs, and then bring this hinge upwards like so, and then we're just going to make sure that's collapsed against like that, and then we can just get him kind of posed in any pose that we see fit to kind of make him dynamic. There is a tab piece on the top here as well, so we can push the gun in if you choose to have that mounted on top. And if we have him fully transformed up into beast mode, really does remind me of Zoids. Really got that kind of ferocious vibe about him. But again, you can see that he's very kind of feline to look at. There's a lot going on with this figure. I love the sculpt on it. I actually think, I don't know, it's a tough one. I think I actually prefer the beast mode to the actual bot mode. Claw mode, arm, I mean, he's going to look absolutely phenomenal when he's fully combined, but I really like what they've done. Everything kind of covers off. I haven't just flipped those feet down yet on his rear hind. They do just cover off the back of those legs. Didn't notice until he's turning around on this turntable. But what do you guys think? Are you a Zoids fan? Personally, I used to have the big T-Rex and that as well, but really does kind of scream that sort of vibe to me. Again, taking liberties, not really realistic in terms of looks, but then none of the Predacons really were. And again, to give you an idea of scale in his beast mode, he's a pretty hefty character to say the least. That's a fairly decent ferocious beast. Now, to get him transformed up into limb mode, you want to extend the waist, so bring that out. These are going to fold upwards. That's going to come up like so. That's going to come all the way up on this double hinge. It's going to rock over, and as we bring that up, this is going to flip and rotate around like so, and come down. And then as this comes up, this foot will come all the way down, and there's a tab underneath the foot. Which allows that to tab in and secure to the side like this. This is going to come away from this neck panel like that. Untab that from there. That's going to rotate around like so, come around to this front piece, and this is going to come out again. It only comes out very small. Popped it off again. It's on a kind of retaining tab here, and I keep popping mine off. It just comes out just enough to get those shoulders free. With that open, we're going to rock these shoulders back up again so they're at the top point of that shoulder joint like so. So it lifts over the shoulder, and then this is going to push in at the top. Detach these neck tabs from both sides and bring this point down to the front and rock that head back up so it's on the front panel like so. For the legs, you want to just come around. You need to adjust this panel here, so this just slides out. Move these panels back on both sides, and that now allows this piece here to collapse down fully into the back of the leg. This can then close off like so. The foot itself is going to rotate around. This is going to come up and tab in to the back like so, and this piece here is going to come up. Hip skirts, untab. Oh, it says, there we go, and pull up to the side, and these are going to separate just enough so we can lift the tail piece outwards. Tail can then fold upwards like so, and then if you look, this is going to fold back down, and there's a tab just on the underside of the tail that will tab in like so. Front hip skirts are going to lift upwards. The panels are going to open as well. Open up one leg at a time, you need to do, so bring this down 90 degrees, and we're going to lift this securing tab upwards as well. Right, the legs, they should be relatively easy. So like I said, move that piece down. Now you want to extend. Bring this piece up out of the way, so this piece here can extend like this. Basically this is going to come up to this sort of angle here. This piece comes off, and that comes around like so. Feet come inwards like this. Bring this panel around to the side, and then this is going to collapse down. Bring the toe upwards, and then that comes all the way back. That rotates down like so. This is going to come down to the side, and if we look, there's this tab here. This will line up and push and secure that into position, so the legs are up like that on the side. Then bring the legs back in together, and if you notice there's a tab here where we're pulled out from the crotch, and then we tab these back in here, making sure that the hip skirts are clear. We're then going to bring the legs in. They're going to tab in here, and they're going to tab in at the base, so bring that in, push that in, and just make sure they tab and lock in firmly. Slide these tabs down. They're going to tab back in to the legs. These parts are really tight, but you want to flip these up, and they're going to come up to the top like so, and then with the tail tucked in, this is going to slide down, and these will come in, and they're going to slide and tuck in, locking in to this piece here. From here, make sure this is pulled out fully so you can see these corner pieces. That allows you to turn the top piece 90 degrees, and then you want to turn this around. We've got these tabs in here. I'm going to have to use a tool to get that out because that is in there ridiculously tight. There we go. What we're aiming for this joint here to be facing forwards, and this top piece to be facing side like that. Now we've got full range on that arm. Come around to these legs, and we should, he says, just be able to slide on to the hand, so it's all the way down like that, and there we go. That here's Rampage as an arm, I believe. That's on there all the way, and that is a fairly substantial, there we go, that is our first limb for our giant Predacon. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Quite a complex transformation, but at the same time it does kind of work in all three modes. I mean, this is a big arm. I mean, that's a big chunk of an arm, isn't it? It should fit in really nicely with the rest of those oversized, kind of large MP sized combiners. I'm very much looking forward to it. Once again, huge thank you to Heat Toy for making this video possible and for shipping out the product. So quickly, I won't cover crab mode because I don't have two of the hands together. I'll do that once I get a secondary hand, but for now, this is the Cang Toys Rampage, aka Ferocious, the CT-01. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Is this too stylized for you? Personally, I do like the approach they've taken. I don't know if I got the transformation completely right. The instructions are good, but I'm not overly good at following them, to tell you the truth, but thoroughly enjoyed playing around with this piece. Squeaky joints, but no real fear of anything breaking. I haven't seen any stress marks or anything. Like I said, it's made remarkably well. It's a very dense piece. I do like the colours on it, and I am excited about what Cang Toys have to offer. I would love to see Predacon in their combined mode, and I really do hope that it does draw some sort of inspiration from that call of the primitive Predacon. Until next time, for myself and the rest of the Collectables household, goodbye.